Is the Hospice Austin Healing Grief Holistically webinar. And our topic this evening is grief and the wood element of Chinese medicine, which has to do with anger, depression, making decisions, and other aspects of this element. And it will include information and movement and acupressure self-massage. So thank you for joining us. And I'm Eileen Priya, and we have Angela Balcom with us. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a little bit about the Chinese 5-element system, because it's just like a little, it's like a little lens we can look at to help look at ourselves, our experiences, our lives in a systemic way. And I feel like grief doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and that looking at it through a system like this can help us know what to do when we start feeling worse, or just to understand what's happening. And that always makes me feel a little better, and I hope you feel the same way. So there are a lot of different elements, different systems that use elements, like Ayurvedic uses, a lot of Native American systems use elements, and I know there's others and I can't think of them right now, but each element sort of governs a certain area of life and our bodies. Life has parts of nature, as well as physical, emotional, and psychological aspects of our life, and spiritual and philosophical. They cover just like these areas of life. And when things get thrown out of balance, and grief, throws things out of balance tremendously, we use looking at these systems to help bring ourselves back into balance and understand how that process works. And I'm getting a message that my internet connection is unstable. So I am going to move closer to my internet. Okay, hopefully that will make it better. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about the wood element. And I chose to do that tonight because it's the element of spring and its color is green, and we have so much in the air. The organs associated with it are the liver and the gallbladder. And, like all things, it has a side of light and a side of shadow. And on the light side, we have healthy ambition, appropriate anger and irritation, using anger as a signal for boundaries. And then we also have compassion, understanding our higher life purpose, a good decision-making, and being able to flow with life, having healthy organs. And it also has to do with vision, both our vision as far as what we want in our life and actual physical vision. On the shadow side, we either have uncontrollable anger or an inability to express anger, which often looks like depression, resistance to life's flow, judgment of ourselves and others, the inability to make decisions, and confusion about our life's purpose. And I feel like grief can bring all of that shadow side in just without warning. It just kind of, we just get handed it while we're dealing with our loss. There are also personality types assigned to the wood element, and wood types are usually ambitious and they like to get things done. And, they often get frustrated with others in life when things don't go their way. And so if you are a wood type, and the 5-element system is kind of like the Enneagram or the Myers-Briggs, where they give a personality type. And, if you are a wood type, then grief can be especially frustrating because it's not, it's not linear. It's not something that you can get done. You just have to move through it. So wood types can be particularly frustrated while grieving because it just feels so ambiguous. And so tonight, there's all these different, so those are just some of the aspects of the wood element. Tonight, we're mainly going to focus on anger and stagnation and depression and decision-making. So we'll do some things for that. So I want to look a little bit at an imbalance. So when all of our elements are in balance, then life feels, it feels good. And when we have an imbalanced wood element, it doesn't feel good. And grief will automatically imbalance everything. So one way it can look is excessive anger. And that's really common in grief, where people just experience anger and irritation. And things that may have not caused anger or frustration before a loss cause a quick anger response, and our fuses seem very short. So that means, like if you're on a phone call with, dealing with financial issues, the insurance company, whatever it may be, you just go from zero to rage very quickly. And things that people say can annoy you. Oftentimes people say things, good intentions that land really hurtfully, and we can get really angry about those. And these are all about like typical things of an imbalanced wood element. We can also feel feelings of injustice very strongly, and those can lead to anger and frustration if we feel like we can't do anything about them. Especially, that's like a real wood element clash of being unable to do something and having injustice around is very frustrating, and can lead to a lot of anger. And with grief, sometimes it just isn't fair. Why are you the person that had to lose their spouse when everybody else didn't have to? Or why did you have this person leave when in this way that felt really wrong? Or sometimes there's poor choices made by the medical community. There's all kinds of things that can lead to feelings of injustice, especially violent or sudden deaths. It can all feel really frustrating. And during grief, it's very hard to kind of see, sometimes when we're balanced, we can see the other side and get to that place of compassion. And sometimes it's just not there. Sometimes it really literally isn't there, and sometimes we can't access it. Of course, if this goes on for a really long time, you of course counseling, group work, energy healing, or all of these things will help. But we can also do things ourselves to help balance things out. And if you do make it better, it can always come back as you experience grief waves, anniversary effects, and other things. So even if you balance yourself out, it usually won't stay that way if you've had a big loss, because things come back up. That's why it's nice to have some tools that can help you. So another imbalanced wood element would be depression, stagnation, and that's also very common. And that's when we don't have the energy to get angry or frustrated, even if there is a situation that would lead to anger or irritation. And a lot of times this comes with a lot of judgment of the self, and not knowing where or how to set healthy boundaries. You're saying yes when you really don't want to do things, not being able to tell people that something was wrong and that upset you. And sometimes psychotherapists will refer to depression as anger turned inward. And that's where it fits in with the wood element. And with both of these, with either an imbalance in with a lot of anger or with the depression, we can get an inability to make decisions and just feel stuck. And that part of it is about the flowing part. When you think of the wood element, in a way it kind of doesn't make sense, but it's, the branches that blow with the wind and are able to stay rooted. And we are sometimes either stuck, in the roots, or we, can't move as things blow through. And that's, and also an imbalance and just kind of the stuck energy that can happen during grief. So here, I just wanted to, we went over some things about the wood element, and I'm just wondering if there's any of these aspects that felt like they're your challenges. And I'd like to know this because it will help me hone in what we're going to do for our movement and acupressure self-massage. Because if everyone's feeling depressed this evening, then I'm going to do something different than if everyone's feeling angry. So go ahead and share. And again, don't use your name this time. Just write in what you feel like what your challenge is right now. And we'll just take a couple minutes to journal. Let's just do that in 2 minutes. And you can go ahead and wind up the writing now, and maybe go ahead and share some of that in the chat. Okay. Yeah, if Angela wants to share some things that come up in the chat.
Yeah, there are a couple things that folks have shared, some common threads. So a couple of folks have shared that depressed is something that resonates. Someone has shared, I feel more depressed than angry in general. Lately, I've been feeling that many things in my life are unjust. I know that isn't true, but I feel it strongly. Another person shared the word stagnation.
Yeah, that's a really powerful, isn't it? I mean, it can describe that feeling where you just like you can't get going, even though you know that there's things you need to do to help yourself heal, and you just can't. So I'm glad that someone picked up on that as a powerful word.
Someone else highlighted insensitive people, dysfunctional family, isolation from pandemic compounds grief and sadness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind of anger and irritation with the way things are, and kind of injustice at having to grieve during this time. It's not a good time to grieve.
Someone else shared, I've something I waited for a long time, about to come to fruition, yet those dreams I had don't seem like they are what I'm wanting. So I feel frustration, and yes, I've had lots of anger. I'm being forced to move forward after being stagnant for so long. All I can do is roll with it.
Okay. Okay, got it? Yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing, everyone. So it sounds like we've got a little bit of both, and that's great. That's kind of what I had planned for, make sure that would address these needs. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and do some information around why trouble with anger and depression is so common, from the aspect of the view of the 5-element system. So in the 5-element system, you have a cycle of creation and a cycle of destruction, or generation and reducing. And so each element, there's an element that helps support it and build it, and an element that helps keep it in check. So the wood element is built up by the water element and contained by the metal element. And I'm going to show you a little diagram of this. And both of these are really strongly affected by grief. So the wood element's kind of smashed in between two of the other elements that can really affect it. So grief is ruled by the metal element. And this element is supposed to like stop the wood element from getting out of control. So like if you think of, pruning shears are made of metal, and we need to trim back trees or plants when they go crazy. And so it's kind of like when grief gets really strong, that our little pruning shears to prune off our anger and be like, oh, that's not really a big deal, I'm going to let that go. Those little pruning shears are broken during grief. And so that's when the anger can just go out of control because the sadness is so great. And it just sort of takes away our ability to moderate ourselves. And then on the other side is the side that builds the wood element is the water element. And that's what brings flow. You know, things that are solid, wood is solid. So it can't really flow unless it has some water in it. You know, a dried out branch is going to break if the wind blows it, but a plant that you've just watered is going to be able to move. And so if you, and we look at the water element as being affected by grief because of the fatigue that we experience. So we're so exhausted by trying to integrate the loss, like, you know, what just happened and why did this happen? So we're trying to integrate that, and it takes so much energy that it doesn't have a chance to build up the wood element. So I hope that's not too confusing, you know, because it's a complex system. But it's also simple. So I hope I got the simplicity in it, and I'll kind of go over it again. And so that's why things like acupressure, movement, and breath work can help, because it can, you know, calm down the wood element by increasing the strength of both the water element and the metal element. And so then everything becomes a little more balanced. And so, and this does work for me. Everything I teach in these webinars, is stuff that I do with myself. And if I notice myself getting irritated, I'll think to myself, you know, where am I imbalanced? Am I not getting enough rest? Or did something just wear me out? Or am I sad about something and I'm not looking at it? And so, you know, I need my pruning shears to calm the anger down. So that's just a little more information. And this is that little creative cycle. So like if you look at it, it's, you know, it's the blue is water that builds the wood, which then builds fire, which then makes earth, and earth creates the metal. So that's the cycle where things are building each other. And then those little arrows, I call it the rock, paper, scissors of Chinese medicine, are the things that help contain the elements, because you don't want to have too much water or too much fire or too much of anything. So if everything's in balance, something's building it and then something's containing it. And when things are out of balance, one thing is so big that it can't be replenished or brought down to a good size. So I hope that was a helpful explanation and a way to think about things in a way that you can try and balance yourself by doing certain things. And what can we do? That's the next big question. Well, in the first place, one of the big things to do is, no matter how wood element is being used, we all need to build up our self-compassion. And that is also part of the wood element. And you just need to get really good at forgiving yourself, lowering your expectations, and apologizing. You know, if you lose it or you can't get something done because you're in a stagnation, you just need to just be like, hey, grief is hard. I'm grieving, and I'm really sorry that I couldn't get that done. And you know, forgive is just self-forgiveness too. Just if you didn't do what you meant to do, then you're going to try again tomorrow. And just, you really be treating yourself as you would treat a confused, adorable animal that you just rescued, or a small child that's too tired and doesn't know what's going on. And you really do. That's the most, that out of all of the things is the most important thing to build. Most of us are doing the absolute best that we can. So that's number one. And then number two, we're going to work with some acupressure, self-massage, and some movements and some breath work and maybe some sound meditation in order to help us balance out those elements. So let's start with dealing with a little bit, well, let's ground down first, and then we'll start doing this. And I apologize for the light in my eyes. When I moved my computer, it got dark, but I can't have the internet and good lighting at the same time, it seems, tonight. So let's take a moment, and we're going to move in some acupressure, self-massage, and and let's just take a moment and notice where our body is and get ready for that. So just put both of your feet on the ground, or if you're sitting on the floor, really feel your sit bones just connecting with the floor. Feel the support that's coming up from the earth. And then go ahead and either rock your feet back and forth if you're sitting in a chair on a couch, or just rock your whole body back and forth if you're sitting on the floor. Just feel that movement that you get to do when you're moving with a slow flow, not bending too far over, not breaking, just swaying. That's where we want to be. And then bring this to stillness. And then we're going to take our tailbone and point it down to the ground. And from there, let's go ahead and bring our elbows back so the heart is a little bit open. And then inhale, lift your side body. And exhale your shoulders away from the ears. Take a moment, align your head with the spine by looking forward, taking 2 fingers at the bottom of your chin, and just very gently pushing the chin back with the chin tucked so that your head is not jutted forward. We've spent so much time with our heads jutted forward. Let's go ahead and release that. And then you can bow your head to your heart, because we want your heart to be the one doing the healing tonight. Your head already took in some information. From here, have the palms, either palms down or palms up, resting on the legs. And then let's just breathe. Just breathing in and breathing out. Just noticing that path of breath in through the nose, down the back of the throat, and inflating the lungs. See if you can relax your jaw, which is associated with the gallbladder, and relax your eyes, associated with the liver. See if they can become soft as you continue to breathe. And then just notice, where in your body do you feel your anger or your stagnation the most? As you breathe in and out, see if you can identify like one spot or another spot where maybe if there's anger, your heart might be moving faster than usual, or energy might be moving faster. If there's stagnation, you might feel this real heaviness. So just notice where that is in your body. And just remember it if you can, and then take a moment and set an intention for our time where we're doing acupressure, self-massage, and movement, and things that will hopefully shift us. See if you can set a little intention for that. And then go ahead and take a big deep breath into that intention. And exhale and just let it go. And then let's go ahead and do some, let's work directly on our wood element first. So the first one we're going to do is a gallbladder point. And you're going to find, so if you go to your jaw, because a lot of people have been holding frustration in their jaw during the pandemic, and it's really come to do it during grief. So if you can go to the top of your jaw and then push down until you find a little soft spot that's in between the upper jaw and the lower jaw, we're just going to go ahead, and it's back towards the ears. It may feel a little tender if you've been clenching your jaw a lot, which many of us have during the pandemic, according to dentists. And you can go ahead and just place 3 fingers on there so that you are sure you'll be getting it with one finger or the other. And just go ahead and relax the jaw, make sure there's space in between the teeth, close the eyes, and just breathe while holding that. And you'll know whether you need to be holding that with really firmly or really gently, because it'll be too much sensation if you go in too deep, or it'll start to hurt so good and you'll want to go a little deeper. So just follow your own body's instructions on that. And breathe. Imagine any frustration is just coiling out as you hold that jaw and breathe. 2 more deep breaths here. And then go ahead and release. Close your eyes for a moment. Check in with the spots where you felt like you might have been holding the anger or frustration or the stagnation. Just see if that holding that point did anything for you. Just note that. And then we're going to move on to some other points. So there are some gallbladder points that are above and are sort of around the ears. And then there are some marma points, which are sort of like yogic acupuncture points that are also above the ears. So let's just massage this whole general area. So you're just, so your ear, so you're going to be going like straight up from the ear and then like a little back. And we're just going to massage that area. This can make you a little sleepy. These are insomnia points in the Ayurvedic system. So if you do get a little sleepy, don't worry, we'll wake you back up. But just close your eyes and let those points be massaged. And these can be massaged very lightly. You know, there's not a lot of stuff going on in between the skull and the skin, unlike other parts of our body. So massage these guys lightly and just see how you feel. Keep that jaw relaxed, keep those eyes nice and soft. And there's a couple of real sensitive spots back there, if especially you've been having like trouble with the decision making. There may be a real sensitive spot kind of on a diagonal from the tip, the back of the tip of the ear. You can hold that one for a moment if you'd like. Keep the neck loose. While you do that, you might want to make a little figure eight with your nose to keep that neck loose very slowly. Take a big deep breath here. And then go ahead and let it relax. And you may have a nice new hairstyle. So after that, we're going to do an acupressure point on the foot. And it's a liver point. And those of you who have worked with me before have done this one before, I'm sure. So you're going to find you've got your big toe, you've got your second toe. In between there, you're just going to poke up until you find a sore spot. And especially those of you who have been dealing with some stagnation, this is a nice point for depression. And you may want to just dig into that point if it's tender. And if you don't find it, just keep going up towards the ankle. It's in between, you know, you've got the bones of your feet that go up towards the ankle and some tendons. It's in between all that stuff. And it will, for most people, this one's pretty tender. So just massage there or hold it. See what one feels better for you. And again, regulate the pressure according to what your body wants. If you dig in there and it feels really good and you feel like you're breaking up some stuck energy, then really dig in there. If you dig in there and it feels like, ooh, that's way too much, then have a lighter touch. Well, whatever you do, breathe. And just imagine things breaking up, stagnation breaking up, or anger just breaking up. A couple more deep breaths here. And then we're going to go ahead and switch to the other side. So again, to find this point, we have our big toe, we have our second toe, and we're just going to push in between there, up in between those bones, in between those tendons, until we find a sore spot. This is a really important point. It's liver 3, and it does a lot of good stuff. Helps release stagnation, harmonize things, get us more going into the flow of life. Just relaxing that jaw and breathing. Two more deep breaths. And then we're going to release that foot down, put both feet on the floor. Close the eyes, relax the jaw. And once again, just check in with those spots where you might have been holding anger and stagnation. Did they feel any different? You can move your feet around a little bit. See how your feet feel after holding that point. Sometimes your feet can feel a lot better. So, okay, so that's always a great point. Another one that's really nice for harmonizing anger, and this is when you have a little too much anger going on, is holding the middle finger. Now, if you're feeling like, oh, I don't have too much anger on, is this going to still be good for me? It actually will be, because this is a pericardium point, and the pericardium is the protector around the heart, and it can help us with all kinds of things around being able to love, you give and receive, and all of those things. So if you're not angry, don't worry, you can still hold this. So we're just going to hold this, and again, relax the jaw and breathe. And of course, you do use our middle finger to express anger, but we can also use it to help regulate anger. So just go ahead and hold. And just as you do that, intend for a feeling of peace to come over you. And if reaching for full peace feels like too much after a big loss, just imagine that a layer of peace is coming, that you're going to feel a little bit more peace. And two more deep breaths here. And we'll switch to the other side. So just once again, holding that middle finger. And this one's also, I like this one because it's really easy to remember. Some of the points, we do them in here, and then it's like, where was that? But this is really easy to remember. So just holding it, you can hold it up near your heart if you'd like, or place it on the table or on your legs in front of you. But close those eyes, relax the jaw, relax the eyes, let them soften, and just hold this. Two more deep breaths here. Release the hands, maybe give them a little shake, maybe twirl the wrists a little bit in one direction and then the other. And let's place both hands over the heart, close the eyes, and just tune in for a moment and see if that affected you in a positive way. If you intended for a little peace to come in while holding that, did it? Maybe it did. Let's release that. And then, so those are ones that are going to work kind of directly on regulating the either stagnation or anger. Let's do one that's kind of, we talked about the two elements that are going to moderate the wood element. The first big one to do is to help strengthen or release tension from the metal element. And that is, if any of you have worked with me before, you've done the lung 1 massage. So this is the primary grief point. We find it on, it's up here. So if you start at the top of your shoulder and you press down, you should find a sore spot. If you can't find it, you can also try moving your arm up and down. And the place that's moving the most and has the most sensation is going to be where that point is. So we're going to find this, and we're just going to dig in there and breathe for a moment. And if you're not sure where it is, 3 fingers, press them all in, or actually all 4 fingers we can do it with this point, or even a fist, and you will get it with something. Go ahead and breathe. If you feel like you've got a lot of tension up here in the chest where you're holding your grief up there, imagine it just flowing out like smoke as you push on this point, almost like when you push on, a sponge that's too full and it releases the water. Notice if that smoke or whatever it is, might be a fog, whatever it is, it feels like it's coming out. Notice if it has a color. The traditional color would be, of course, a silver or a white, like metal. And then we're just going to rub here and massage down the arm and off the thumb a couple times. So we're massaging down the arm and off the thumb. One more time. Just imagine you're pulling the grief out of the heart and lungs. And again, things like this, they don't, they're not going to make everything magically feel better, but they can really take the edge off and free up energy to work on something that feels important to you during your grief. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So we're going to start off just pushing down. See if we can find that sore spot. You can also try moving your arm. Once you find it, you can dig in, fist, all 4 fingers, or maybe if you really found it, you can just use 2 fingers and really dig into a certain spot. And we're just holding it and breathing. Imagine once again that you're pushing on that sponge that's holding things in the heart and lungs, and things are just flowing out. And then we're going to massage down and off the thumb. Make sure the breath is long and deep while you're doing that. And just a little massage, bringing things out of the heart and lungs. And we'll do 2 more. And shake the hands. Take a deep breath, just check in with those spots where you're holding the anger or the stagnation. See if they've shifted. And then let's work these points. And if you've been, these are another ones I do almost every time. And there's, so up here near the either side of the collarbone, there are some kidney points, which are associated with the water element, which is what gets things flowing. So if you can just take your fists and place them so that they're about 1 inch apart up here and just push into these points. There's kidney 25, kidney 26, and kidney 27 are all up here. And you can just massage or dig into those points, and they help bring the energy up and also help reset our energetic system. So these are great ones to do when you've got that stagnation going on. So just breathe deeply. And see if you can just imagine your whole system resetting. And these are especially for those of you experiencing stagnation, although they're good for everyone. 2 more long, deep breaths here. And then we're going to release. And let's move into some movement. So, and movement, of course, is especially good for stagnation, right? Because that's the hardest thing to do when you're feeling stagnant, is to move. So we're going to stand up for this. If you feel like standing up is too much, or for your body or for your emotional state right now, then you can do everything we do sitting in a chair tonight. So, so let's go ahead and do some movement. Move my chair out of the way. Move this so you can see me better. Okay, so we'll just start off by doing some shaking movements, which can help shift our stagnation, especially, or if you're really angry, it can also help shift that. So you're going to just stand, feet are going to be about hip width distance apart, maybe a little wider, maybe a little closer together. And we're just going to bounce up and down on the balls of our feet and almost doing like a little shake it dance. And you can do this to move music for sure. We're going to do it without tonight. We want to do it for a minute or more. Now, if it doesn't feel good to your body to do the bouncing, you can just move your upper body. And just see if you can shake yourself into a new way of feeling. And you may even want to shake opposite sides of the body, or you may just want to continue bouncing. Or if you're feeling like, oh, I just want to get rid of it, you can also, hop up and down while you're shaking your hands. And then pause for a moment, and we're just going to close our eyes and just notice how we feel. Oftentimes after I do that, I have a little tingling sensation and I feel different. So hopefully that's the same for you too. And then we'll also do our wake up massage. And we've done this one before. You're going to start off with your hands under the arm, and you're just going to let's have our right arm out first. And we're going to tap underneath the arm. And then we're going to go under the arm, top of the hand, arm, top of the arm, over the chest. And then we're going to start off other arm, underarm, top of the hand, up the arm, across the chest. So this is just going to be resetting all of your meridians and waking you up again. They're tapping down the sides of the body. Here, and I'm going to put my leg on. You can't see my whole body now, so we're going to tap down the legs all the way, both sides, and then up the inner legs, and then tapping here at the groin, which is an important energy gate. And then we're going to end with our hands below the navel. Take a deep breath here. And then we're going to go under the arm, hand. That we're doing it on the other side now, just tapping, just waking yourself up, getting rid of any stagnant feelings, or waking yourself up out of feelings of anger that you can't shake. So you're going to go down the sides of the legs, up the inner legs, groin, and stopping here. Let's do it one more time each side. If you're feeling super stagnant, I would do it faster. And if you're feeling like you kind of need to calm yourself down, I would do it a little slower. So we're just starting off here on we can start either right or left, whatever feels good. And we're just tapping, 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 waking ourselves up. And then going back under the other side. Across. Down the sides, up the center, at the groin and stopping. And last side, we're just gonna, I don't remember which one I did last time. Do whatever one you didn't do last time. Just tapping, 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 waking ourselves up. Down the sides, up the inner legs, and tapping at the groin and ending right there below the belly button. Deep breath in, check in with those spots that you were monitoring from the beginning, see if they've changed at all. And then take a big deep breath here and release. So we're going to start off with some Qigong now. And we're going to start off with the hands crossed. And we're going to do pulling down heavens. So since we're working on anger and stagnation, we're going to have the knees bent and we're going to inhale. Imagine you're pulling from a big ball of light and you're going to pull that in through the top of the head with the hands flat. As the light falls down into the body, just imagine it waking you up or calming you down, whatever is what you need right now. And then, as you're going down the front of the body on your exhale, you're going to just imagine yourself pushing out anything you no longer need, whether that's stagnation or anger. So you're inhaling up, grabbing onto whatever it is you need, allowing that to flow into the body as you push down that which you no longer need. Two more. And I forgot to mention that as you inhale, you're going to be straightening the knees, and as you exhale, they bend. We don't really fully straighten, they still have a little bend as we inhale and exhale. Go ahead, take both hands, place them over the heart. Just go ahead and inhale and exhale a couple times and let yourself sway. See if you can let some self-compassion drop in, knowing that you are doing the best you can, just swaying back and forth. And then we're going to do a movement that increases strength and that flow that we need to harmonize the wood element. So, and we've done this one before, if you worked with me before, it's the ocean chi breathing. So we're imagining we have a nice big ball of light right here, and we're inhaling out and exhaling in. So you're inhaling, letting your ball of light grow bigger, and exhaling, letting it become denser. So inhaling and exhaling. Just feeling that ball of light growing bigger as you inhale and smaller and denser as you exhale, as you straighten the knees on the inhale and bend them on the exhale. Ocean chi breathing. This is supposed to build our vital energy, chi or prana, so that we have the energy to get things moving and be more in flow. Also builds our strength to deal with our fears and to deal with grief. Let's do 3 more. And then hold that ball of energy. Feel it lighting brighter and brighter in your hands. And then we're just going to place it in below the navel and feel it lighting up your torso, giving you the strength and the fluidity to move on. And then you can just breathe and sway back and forth, feeling yourself getting lighter and more fluid. So that's a water element movement to help with building that wood element. Let's do a couple of wood element movements that are specifically for that. The first one's going to be twists. So you're just going to be twisting side to side. And if you like yoga, so we're twisting from the waist, kind of leaving the hips pretty stable. And we're just tapping with the arms on the belly and on the lower back. Now, if you like yoga, the deeper yogic twists are all good for the liver and therefore good for the wood element. And in Qigong, we also say that all the twisting moves are good for this element. And then you can move up so that you're actually tapping over your liver and gallbladder over here on the right side and on the stomach spleen on the left side, very gently, and on the mid-back, just twisting at the waist. And then up here at the shoulders. Just feeling those twists. And then bring that to stillness. Do a couple of shoulder rolls just to relax the neck. There's a bunch of gallbladder points going up there. This helps relax those guys, which have to do with decision making and holding frustration. And then bring that to stillness. So we're going to stretch out our side body. Our liver's over here on the right side, so stretching that out helps with a lot of different things. So we'll start off hands across to do that brain balancing. We're going to inhale up. I'm going to kneel down so you can see my arms. We're going to grab onto, let's do the right wrist with the left hand. We're going to inhale, stretch up, and then exhale over to the side. We want to be stretching out that side body. Relax the neck. If it irritates your neck to have the arms straight, bend the elbows. Take another deep breath here. And then push the feet into the floor, contract the pelvic floor muscles, and inhale up. On your exhale, just sway back and forth like a branch that has been well watered, blowing in the wind. And then we will do the other side. So you're going to inhale, stretch up, grab onto that other wrist with the other hand. The left wrist is being grabbed by the right hand. And we're going to stretch up again on your next inhale, and then go over on the exhale. Once again, bending those elbows if there's any irritation in the neck. One side, we're stretching out the area that's covering up the spleen and stomach. The other side, the liver and gallbladder. Just let that stretch out. Another deep breath here. And then push the feet into the floor, contract pelvic floor muscles, inhale up. Do that little sway again. And then let's just do a forward bend together, which is always nice to do after twisting and side bend. So you can either, if you have a wall or a chair near you, you can just place your hands there. I guess I'll do it here. And stretch out. Or if you're feeling like it's okay for your back, you can do a bent knee, forward bend, just bending over and letting the head hang. Do the one that feels best for your back tonight. Either one is good. Just let the head hang or stretch back and then roll up or push yourself out of the pose. It's always nice to do those after twists and side stretches. Okay, so let's do another one that's really good for releasing anger or for getting your energy going. And I've been really into this movement lately, probably because spring is coming. And that is, we're going to stand with our knees slightly bent. We're going to have our hands in fists. And the palms, the fists are going to be facing upwards. So knees are bent. And we're going to start here. We're going to inhale. And then we're going to exhale out. And inhale back in. And this one's a little different because we are bending and straightening the knees on opposite. So we're inhaling, punching out, exhaling, bending. And while we're doing this, you can imagine if there is some injustice that you're really feeling, you can imagine punching into that and just being mad about it and releasing the anger and maybe pulling in some harmony. And if you're feeling you don't have the energy to be upset about anything, see if you can make those punches a little firmer and get your energy going. Just really feel that. And this one can also be good for the eyes. And so if you're trying to create a clear vision for what you want to do for your healing or maybe for whatever comes next, you can also look firmly ahead of you, which is also good for the wood element. Let's do 2 more of those on each side. And then bring that to stillness. And we're going to just place both hands right here on the right side underneath the breasts, and that's about where your liver is, and maybe a little up. And just go ahead and massage it and give it a little blessing, because they have been working hard during grief, during the pandemic, during all of it. So just a little massage, bring that to stillness and just hold it and breathe. And then release. And we'll do another movement that's specific for the liver gallbladder. And that one is when we're going to just take our hands and we're going to start off above the head. And we're just going to inhale. And it's almost like we're smoothing our thoughts. You know, a lot of anger can lodge in the thoughts, angry thoughts. So we're inhaling, and then we exhale and we push them away. So it looks like this. You inhale and then exhale. Inhale, straighten the knees. Exhale, bend. Now, sometimes this can irritate the neck. If that's true, do it in front of the heart. So you're just inhaling and exhaling. And we'll do it a few more times, smoothing those thoughts, wood element movement, kind of tracing parts of the gallbladder meridian as well. Two more. Take the hands palm over the heart. Big deep breath here. Let it out. A couple of shoulder rotations in case any irritation was taken in the neck. And then bring that to stillness. And we'll inhale, lift the shoulders up, and exhale them down a couple times with a big sigh. And then take a moment, just breathe in, check in with those spots that you found again. And notice if they've shifted from when we first started. And then we're going to do a couple movements that are affecting the metal element. So that's the grief. We deal with grief a lot, but it also is what is going to calm down the wood element, the anger. So we're going to start off about hip width distance apart. We're going to, or maybe a little wider. We're going to bend the knees, and then we're going to take our hands flat up against the torso. I'm a little space there, but palms facing the torso. And you're going to inhale, lift the arms up as you straighten the legs, and then you're bringing the hands out, and then you're exhaling down. So it looks like this. Inhaling and exhaling. So when you're doing this, imagine that you're putting healing light into the lungs, and then you're sending out the heaviness of grief or anything lodged in the heart and lungs. So we're inhaling in, healing light, sending out that which no longer serves us to be recycled in the earth. So imagine that filling up with healing light, strengthening your ability to deal with difficulty, which is what the metal element is about. So of course, when it's harmonized, it can help us deal with anger or stagnation. Really see if you can feel yourself pulling things out of the heart and lungs. And three more. Last one. And then rest with the hands over the heart. Take a deep breath and notice how you feel. Release this, and we're going to do one last metal movement. And with this one, we're also going to use a sound. So the sound for the metal movement is for the metal element is just making an S sound as you exhale. And so we want to strengthen our metal and also release anything that's clogging up our metal element so it can help check our wood element, right? So we're going to inhale, we're going to stand, knees bent, hip width distance apart, a little wider. We're going to draw a shape we're going to be inhaling, drawing this with our index finger, and then we're going to exhale. It's like we're drawing a bowl. So we're inhaling out and then exhaling down to make the shape of a bowl. So we'll do that a couple times, inhaling out, exhaling the shape of a bowl. And then we're going to add that sound as we exhale. And imagine you're releasing stuff from the lungs and heart as you make that sound. 3 more. This can also wake you up. And last one. Hands palm over the heart. Just notice how you're doing, especially notice if anything got released from those lungs and the heart center where you may have been holding a lot of grief. And then we're going to do 3 pulling down heavens to close our movement session. So we're going to bend the knees, cross the hands in front of you. You're going to inhale up, pulling down some beautiful light. Letting it push out that which no longer serves you as you bring the hands down. And last one. Hands palm over the heart. Take a breath, remember your intention. Exhale and give yourself a blessing. Inhale that blessing. And exhale, release anything you can let go of. We're going to release and come back to our seated position, whatever that was, and finish up with a little bit of journaling. So I hope you're feeling a little better than when we first started. And I'd like you to just take a couple moments and notice if there was anything that we did or learned that was particularly helpful to you and that you would like to do on your own. And then if you got any insights that you would like to share based on what we learned or the movement, whatever it is, we'd love to hear, what insights came to you, both to help for us to learn about them and for you to help you remember them. So you can go ahead and write those things in the chat. You can also check in with the 3 words that you wrote at the beginning and see if they've changed. And we would love to hear from you when you're ready.